For our project, we researched non-Newtonian fluids. A non-Newtonian fluid is one that does not adhere to Newton's laws. The reason for this is that it does not have a constant viscosity as Newtonian fluids do. Viscosity describes how a fluid flows. In other words, it is a measure of how thick or thin the liquid is. Because its viscosity is not constant, this fluid behaves like a solid or a fluid, depending on how much pressure is put on it. The changes depend on the stress or forces applied. Newtonian fluids, on the other hand, only change viscosity when the temperature changes. The type of non-Newtonian fluid that we made is named Oobleck after one of Dr. Seuss's books. It is a dilatant material, also known as a shear thickening fluid. This means when pressure is added, the viscosity increases and the fluid becomes like a solid and stays in place. When there is no pressure, the viscosity decreases and the fluid becomes water-like. You can also place your hand in and let it sink. When you rapidly pull it up, it sticks to your hand and the whole bowl comes up. In the video, we are punching the oobleck. Because it is a rapid pressure, our fists just bounce off. The oobleck feels like a solid. When you have it in a solid form, you can break it up into little pieces, but then it starts melting together. Gary Snyder describes oobleck scientifically. He says that when it sits still, the granules of starch are surrounded by water. The surface tension of the water keeps it from completely flowing out from between the granules. The cushion of water lubricates and allows the granules to flow freely. If the movement is harsh or rapid, the water is quickly squeezed out and the friction increases. When we play catch with it, it stays as a solid, but if you hold it in your hand for too long, it starts to get goopy. Another type of non-Newtonian fluid is ketchup. It is a thixotropic or shear thinning fluid. This means it becomes less viscous when agitated. If you put no force on it, it becomes thicker, but if you put a lot of force on it, it becomes thinner. This is why when you grab ketchup that has been sitting on a shelf for a while, it is hard to get out, but it becomes easier when you shake it up. When you set a music speaker to a certain frequency, the oobleck comes alive and starts to dance, mainly because the frequencies create vibrations that act as pressure upon the oobleck.